I'm writing a novel with Liza, and the way we're writing it is I do a little piece and I email it to her, and then she does a little piece and emails it back. But we just started this project and we had a little bit of confusion because she was in Austria, and I sent just like the title and the first line, and she wrote this actually amazing long passage, and then I wrote, you know, my part, but I sent it to her email in London. And so a couple, like this morning, I got an email that said, well, where the fuck is part 3, episode 3? So of course I had to go and find the email, send it to the right email, and then, you know, I wrote her like a PS after I sent that, and I mentioned that I was doing a reading today, and I didn't really know what to do, and she said, well, read what you just sent me. But see, then I wasn't sure if she meant, do you mean the email I just sent you, or episode 3 of our novel? So I'm going to read both. And okay, this is episode 3. But I thought it was episode 2. Because, okay. I'm Freddie's cousin, the stranger said. Freddie Mayhew? That's right, I'm Patricia. Freddie said you might be needing someone in the shop. Miriam hadn't told Freddie any such thing. It was about to say so, but the crumpled look of this unattractive woman stopped her. Was she unattractive? Patricia seemed all folded into herself, and her defeated appearance stirred Miriam's sympathy. Ali had sometimes looked like that after he'd stolen something. Come in, let me introduce you to people. Not right after stealing something. Ali always left whatever shop he'd ripped off with a wild, exhilarated gleam in his eye, and as they went down the street would produce the little things he'd stuffed in his pockets, like a serious child exhibiting his toy collection, or a docent leading a museum tour. It was after Miriam pointed out, as she always did, that he would get himself deported if he ever got caught, and that he had no use for anything he'd stolen, that Ali's face would cloud and a kind of hopelessness spread over him. I always wreck his optimism, Miriam reflected, but he could get deported or go to jail. This Patricia person looked like she had just come out of jail, or been deported here from somewhere else. Liz, I want you to meet Freddie's cousin. She's maybe going to help us in the store. Ali could never explain the superstition or whatever it was. He woke every morning with the certainty that he had to shoplift a specific number of things. Sometimes it was 7 or 5 or even 3 or 2. To take only one thing made his day feel wasted, and then he'd need several drinks to calm down. When he pinched things from a pharmacy or department store, he would decide that he couldn't leave before he'd copped his entire quota for the day in that one place. The thrill was irresistible to him, and Miriam became so anxious she had to go outside and wait for him on the sidewalk, expecting to see him marched out in handcuffs. Sometimes he hunted for the same kind of thing for weeks. He told her one day he needed to acquire exactly 60 tiny animals in order to complete his collection. He already had 10 little glass elephants, several cloth zebras and lions, a ceramic horse, and a giraffe made of matchsticks that was rather larger than the other animals that he has to stuff into his trousers to get it out of the store. The morning after he came home with his 60th animal, a crystal dolphin attached to a wooden plinth, he swept the entire menagerie into a garbage bag and carried it down to the river and tossed it in. Okay, so I sent that to Tracy, but she didn't get it. And then you know, and she said, where the fuck is episode 3? I sent it, and then I sent her PS. I thought what I just sent was episode 2. I didn't count the title in the first line. I sent it 2 days ago to the other email. I have to do a reading this afternoon at a place called Cake Shop on the Lower East Side. It's something I agreed to without thinking. I am so not in the mood to stand in front of an audience. I wish I were there with you guys. It's supposed to be about movies in some way. The parts of my memoir that are about the movies I was in aren't finished enough to read them. I am trying so hard to get this book in the can. So it just needs a few touches, a few more episodes. I wish everything around here wasn't called something like Cake Shop. They don't even serve cake there, it's a bar. Places used to have names like Save the Robots and Squeeze Box and Prob, and now it's Cake Box and Cupcake House. Someone should open a nightclub called Bland. Suddenly there is another upscale supermarket nearby. They all look exactly alike inside. It's a definite genre of superior food. I found the best coffee I have ever tasted in here. It's called Heartbreaker Espresso. I just noticed the bag says it contains blackberry, honeysuckle, orange rind, molasses. I'm sure if I had noticed that, I wouldn't have bought it. It never bothers me when things change, if they change for the better. But what usually happens is something like this. 10 years ago, there was a narrow storefront next to the magazine store on the corner of 3rd Avenue and St. Mark's Place. It was a pizzeria that had the best pizza anywhere around here. Then their rent was hiked up triple. They closed suddenly. It became a falafel shop. I don't care about falafels. Then another rent hike, and they were gone, replaced by an ice cream place. Then something else. And now, after 10 years, guess what? It's a pizzeria again, but one that serves really lousy pizza.
It's out of business too. It is, it's closed.
Well, I can't take any satisfaction in that. The pharmacy that I now have to go to because the nice little local neighborhood pharmacy was, you know, put out of business is the CVS on 14th and 1st because some of the people that work at the old pharmacy went up there. Yesterday, I went there, a couple days ago. Right next to the CVS is a Duane Reade now. I mean, it's like it's, you know, it looks like Estonia during the Soviet era. Okay, I'm going to read some little things from this and then. I was angry at Verushka for telling the journalist a story about the rat. I thought of it as my story, though I had heard it from someone else and I wanted to use it before everyone in the world had heard it. I'll tell you another story, she said. A famous soccer player became very depressed and threw himself in front of a bus. The bus driver was a big fan of the soccer player. When he found out he had accidentally killed his idol, he went into a depression himself and jumped off the roof of a building. Then the bus driver's wife got depressed. She went to a psychiatrist, but her life was ruined, so she swallowed an overdose of pills. The psychiatrist felt like a total failure after that and hanged himself in his office. How much of this is true? Maybe none of it's true, but it's a better story, isn't it? In the Philippines, almost every week, someone in a karaoke bar is killed for singing My Way by someone else who doesn't like his singing. My Way is, of course, a hubristic and self-congratulating song, as many Frank Sinatra standards are. But My Way is a particularly evocative song for people who have to listen to someone else singing it. A person who thinks he did it his way is often mistaken. But even if he really did, it's sometimes prudent not to sing about it. Last month I went to the zoo in Edinburgh to visit the penguins. The day was so blowy the treetops thrashed in the wind with a shivering sound like crashing surf. Finally rain thin as needles fell and the zoo closed the park. I only had time to see the giant sloths and pink flamingos and a leathery aquatic mammal I don't know the name of moving swiftly back and forth under the inky water of his pond. The penguins were diving and feeding and diving. The zookeepers in yellow smocks and blue galoshes hand-fed them a whole dead fish. They snapped the fish up as if pulling them out of a vending machine. We love penguins, but that is one-sided. No penguins will talk to you. No penguins will even look at you unless you are close enough to be a threat. Why should they? Unless you are holding a dead fish, no penguin has any reason to go near you. That is the way of penguins, and it always will be. A man in my neighborhood used to wish me dead whenever he saw me in the street. As he walked two enormous, snarling, unfixed male dogs. "I'll be happy when you're dead," he would say. Or, "Anyone can see you're shrinking with age." Or, "You'll be dead soon." And he would say this with a big goofy grin on his deranged face, not only on the sidewalk, but also in the corner deli, the local bookstore. If he saw me there, never loudly enough to be overheard, but very distinctly, implacably, with obvious sadistic pleasure, in the matter-of-fact way that someone might remark on the weather. And this man, who was tall and bald and unpleasant-looking in every way, with eyes that twinkled with insanity behind his thick glasses, had written a novel once, a neighbor told me, and felt that his brilliance had been insufficiently recognized, and not only wished me dead, but wished many others in the neighborhood dead in the course of his dog walks, perhaps everyone. These maledictions went on for 2 years, and eventually had their intimidating effect. "Don't take it personally" is the most useless advice ever given. After a time, whenever I left my building, I feared having to confront this person's madness. In Regla, finally, I paid a Santeria priest 20 pesos to make him stop bothering me. When I got back to New York, a woman who works in the bookstore told me the man with the dogs had died, suddenly from a cerebral hemorrhage. I don't really believe the Santeria priest had anything to do with it, but for a moment, it was nice to think so. There is an unanticipated lesson in this for some reason. He wished me dead, and he told other people that he wanted them to die, and then his brain exploded. Should I go on?
Yeah.